This episode is brought to you by listeners like you, our intergalactic fuel, and the boost behind this mic. Thanks for supporting our cosmic journey through the universe of sci-fi. Coming up in the podcast. So the recording of Cardian's voice and to compare it against Kodos' voice and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And they must say it's a little bit different, can't be sure what it is, right? So, in the meanwhile now, in the sick bay, the lieutenant, him awakens and him hear McCoy log entry, talk about, learning that Cardian is suspect of being Kodos, right? The man who murdered Riley family. So, of course, that spurred him. Answers? Just moments away.
Prepare for warp speed as we embark on a voyage through the vast expanse of science fiction in movies and television series. From distant planets to alien civilizations, we delve into the heart of the unknown, unraveling the tales that have captivated audiences for generations. Get ready to unlock the secrets of the universe on Code Flix.
Welcome back to the continuation of Star Trek Season 1 Part 2. In this part, we're focusing on episode 11 to 20 and what kept viewers invested from beginning to end.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Episode 11. The Menagerie, Part 1. Spock Mutiny leads to a trial in which certain revelations are made. So the episode starts out with Spock faking a message from the Enterprise former commander Christopher Pike, right? Which leads them to go to Starbase 11, right? When they went to Starbase 11 and, them do them look investigation and thing, Kirk and Spock and Dr. McCoy them would have beamed down, right? When them see the former Captain Pike, in a condition where boy, you know what I'm saying, is basically what they would have called at the time an invalid, we call disabled now, right? Because, we woke, right? This man cannot do anything on his own, right? Yes, him have one remote control, what I call wheelchair, basically, right? That he can operate. But other than that, yeah, we don't see that. And him can't talk. So the only way him can communicate is through beeps, right? 1 beep is no and 2 beeps are yes, right? So while, they might try to figure out things, Spock never lead them wrong, right? Them here, Spock asks, that him can talk to him former Captain Pike by himself, which is strange because, as a Vulcan, that's an illogical emotion, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, why you have to talk to the man alone, right? So in talk to him and in tell him, say, boy, you know why I've come. I know it's treachery and it's mutiny, but I must do this, right? And the only thing Pike can do is to beep no. You know what I'm saying? And him continue to beep no. You know what I'm saying? And people are wonder why am I beep no? Why is he beeping no? You know what I'm saying? Without them knowing what's going on. Right? Now Spock proceeds to fake another message from Starbase 11 to the Enterprise to tell them, say, boy, him a go on shore leave and they must listen to Captain Spock, not Captain Spock, First Officer Spock, and him basically I go captain the vessel from here on in for do something. You know what I'm saying? He proceeds to go onto the Enterprise, taking command and everything. Of course, them not go have any questions because it sound like it come from the captain's mouth, and that's how Spock carried it out. And then in talking to couple crewmen like Scotty and Mackay, them not really believe Wagwan, believe say Captain Kirk could really do something like this. Him proceed to use some even more convincing tactics like having a recorded message played back for them to hear. And so, they're still a little bit, suspicious, but they kind of have to take in that, Now, in program the Enterprise to travel to a location where basically that planet, Talos 4, is marked as top secret, for eyes only, right? Them know say there is a reason for the order. It is a general order 7, and there should be no vessel under any condition, right? Emergency or otherwise, to visit Talos 4, right? It is a capital offense, right? So when them realize them are head to Talos 4, of course, questions come up and them I wonder what's going on, you know what I'm saying? More questions arise and stuff, right? Oh, I should mention that the captain, him and another guy from Starbase 11 at the time, they figured out now that Enterprise will leave orbit. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, why them I leave orbit without me and thing? And I try to contact the Enterprise, but because they, because of what Spock did, they were out of range of communication. Plus, you know what I'm saying? Also, that's sitting a go on. So, then proceed in a shuttlecraft Picasso, right? So Kirk, them a try to raise the ship again, I try to communicate, and you know what I'm saying? Who get the communication, but because Spock tell us say no, there should be no communication with the vessel and and then they realize say boy, it is Kirk in the vessel and thing and and whatever and things. So they must say, no man, something need to be done. Alright, so Spock now realize say, alright, there's nothing them can do because they must follow them in a shuttlecraft, and a shuttlecraft only have a certain distance it can go before it needs to return, or it can't return any at all, right? You run out of gas, essentially. So Spock, you'd think him that just left them dead in the water or in a space like that. No, him decide say him gonna take them, using tractor beam and thing and take them aboard. Take them aboard and thing. And when him take them aboard, him just immediately request a general court martial and thing and and everything. So him, you know what I'm saying? Him just basically just relinquish the vessel and everything, right? At the same time, the vessel is on its way to this planet and thing and whatever, and them I try ask him why it is that you're doing this and thing, and him won't answer, to them and thing, and him now, Captain Pike was on board, of course. I forgot to mention that part. That's a very important part. Spock did take Captain Pike with them onto the vessel, right? So, yeah. So now they have what them need, which is 3 captains. Them have the Starbase commander. Them have Captain Kirk and Captain Pike, who can conduct the proceedings of a court martial, right? So, you know, they might, try to get him to find out what is what, but at the time they reach Talos 4 orbit, basically. And yeah, something starts to appear on a view screen. Kind of basically, I watch how it's almost like a clip show now. We're getting to see what Captain Pike was doing, 13 years ago, right? What happened to him on the on the vessel, and the rest of the crew and all of that. And it astonished them because they know of no recording device that gives such detail, right? Because of the way it was so detailed, the video and everything, it seemed so detailed to them, right? Spock himself, him cannot explain the video, how it was produced, right? And of course, Captain Pike, him can't talk to tell nobody nothing. So, the Starbase commander, him interrupt the proceeding, right? Him reminds Spock said that, this is not a theater, right? This is space law, court of space law. And you know what I'm saying? He must make them know what go on and and him a push and a push, right? Now, they must say, boy, under the circumstances, them not see no reason why them thing there and them need to find a way to turn back, right? So, this gone on far enough now. Kirk and the rest of the guys them vote, except for Pike. No, I think Pike did vote to kind of say yes, right? So Kirk and Pike them vote for proceed with the proceedings as it is, while the Starbase commander is like, yo, no, we don't think we should be proceeding with this because this is a farce, what is going on here? Now, them say on the view screen where the Captain Pike, them the Pantalos 4, right? Because they meet up. Because what happened is at the time they were on a rescue mission, right? To Talos 4. That's Captain Pike and his team. And they go there and them see initially the people them where them supposed to rescue, and they're in them seem alright, them seem good. But something weird is going on the planet because we see some aliens, right? And these aliens seem to be watching everyone, right? They use one human-looking woman, to lure Pike to one location on the planet where they take him, right? And they go underground, right? So, yeah, some things are going on, this one thing, and then we find, say, this is the first episode that would have a two-parter because we see the to be continued at the end of the episode. Episode 12, The Menagerie, Part 2. So, Kirk, on the personal log, I give him updates, ponder what is going on. Spock, one of the finest man we know, is facing court martial. So, what is he going to be doing, without this man now? You know what I'm saying? Who will he replace him with? You know what I'm saying? Because that's where it comes down to, because definitely I got to face some charges at the end of this, right? Right? So, the court martial reconvene, right? This time it is a closed session, right? The Starbase commander reminds Spock, say, boy, Starfleet has ordered no contact with Talos 4, right? With no exceptions, right? When they were watching on the view screen what was going on, as I told you before, that Talos 4 would have been sending these images, right? So it's the aliens, they must send the image them to them, right? Now, they had stopped because of Captain Pike, because they realized that he was fatigued, right? And he was. Them take him, carry him out and stuff. So now, them dead there and them a say, boy, what's gonna happen now, right? We need to find out what else are going on and thing, and and them say, boy, we need to continue with we need to have this continuing, so you need to provide something else for us in the meantime, right? Or else, basically. Luckily, the theologians them continue, right? The theologians continue for sure, what happened and thing. They tried to get Pike to breed with the woman, the same pretty woman, and then they entice him with initially. Them try to use several different illusions, right? So them have him in this, menagerie, if you want to call it, right? That's why the episodes are there, menagerie, right? So them in a one cage, basically, but, it is one of those things that at the time they use glass because, in the episode they can see as a glass then used for kind of, partition it. So it looked like an invisible barrier, right? Based on the way the camera was trying to think there. But you can see it now. You watch it, you can see, say, yeah, glass, that for sure. Them there behind, right? Anyways, back to the episode again, right? So what we know is that the circumstances now that have led Captain Pike here is being shown, right? And they are trying their best, right, to get him to do with, this woman. And so they might try different ways to get him enticed and stuff. But he must sit through all of that, because remember, he's a starship captain and he would have had some mental training and all of these things. So, he is, caught by this green skin slave girl, right? Yeah, the green aliens, right? And what I'm saying, them are, a push further and thing, try to get him, But of course, that doesn't really thing there. Now, as the presentation continue, right, the theologians, them, say them want to beam down number one and the young man called, right? So that is, for them to try and produce choices for Pike as mates, right? Because him number one is a female and Yeoman cult is also a female, right? So, when them reach down and think them have them then laser pistols and thing, they realize they now work and thing, right? Now, of course, Pike realized, boy, them a try to do this, it might be an illusion, right? So him find a way to trick one of the theologians them to come, because they have the weapons them in the cage, with them. So when they apparently, went to sleep, right? Alright? Captain Pike kept him eye open, you know what I'm saying? One eye open, they sleep with one eye open, you know that I'm saying? Yeah, so him literally do that. And the theologian came into the cage, right, thinking that everybody is asleep, right? And attempted to take the weapon, and that's when Pike took the theologian, right? Him threatened the theologian, right? To find a way to get him from the planet's surface and thing, right? Now, at this point, the presentation get interrupted again, and it seemed like the theologians them abandoned Spock, You know what I'm saying? Spock just left at the mercy because all of what was going on was being explained by what they were watching on the big screen. Now, Mendez a come down. Mendez are the starbase commander. He ma come down upon them for say, boy, we need for reach a verdict now, right? So Spock asks Pike for wait till them reach upon, in the airspace at Talos, right? And that it will give him a chance for a life, right? So Kirk liken it to like a zoo, a specimen or amusement. Now, Pike, Mendes, and Kirk, them finally vote, say Spock is indeed guilty, right? So, what else he gonna do, right? Now, Lieutenant Hansen report from the bridge now to tell Mendes that the Enterprise reach orbit now, right? Around Talos 4, right? And them now have nowhere to go because Spock now confirms to them that the Talosians them control the Enterprise now, right? And that is the same thing what did happen those years ago. So the Talosians them did abandon the whole thing of trying to capture and breed humans as servants because Pike and the others them threaten to unalive themselves, right? Using the same laser pistol, because as I mentioned before, they use illusions to cover up things. So when them things say the pistol them never work, the pistol them well and work, you know what I'm saying? When then they blast a hole in the glass, right? The barrier, there was a big hole, right? But they covered it up, make it look like it never happened, right? So yeah, they were able to get to the planet's surface and realize, boy, that is what they were planned to do. You know what I'm saying? So of course, the Talosians them, tell them say, listen, we only wanted to basically keep, happy and thing because, so many things and they might explain say, boy, Vina, the same girl who did not try to put with Captain Pike, she herself was badly disfigured, right? And it is because of their mastery of projecting illusion that is what keeps her alive and make her looking like a normal person. So the whole shebang bang with Spock, taking them to the planet, right, was for that reason. It is revealed now that Commodore Mendez, right, him never did nowhere on the Enterprise, He was always on Starbase 11, right? And him that watched the whole thing, right? Because them broadcast it to him as well. So I guess on the basis of the whole of those things, the revelation of that, and it wasn't a real court martial, and so you basically have to acquit, the defendant, Spock, and Spock regains his position. Nothing happened to him. All that he did, was to help Pike. Yeah. Then ask Pike if him wish to go with the Talosians, and of course, he says, yeah, why not? Yeah, go live an illusion where you can walk up and down, and talk, rather than be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of your life, foreseeable future, right? So even after Spock and Pike leave the briefing room, the Talosian magistrate turned to Kirk and he say, on the view screen, right? And he say, look and see how Pike and Vina happily a walk. You know what I'm saying? And them just a walk and they go right back to where they were. Yeah. Crazy episode, right? Episode 13. The Conscience of the King. So, this is a drama-filled episode where Captain Kirk tries to find a murderer before they can take out him and some others. So, while them a visit an old friend, they were taken in a play, basically, right? So plays do exist in the future, guys. Don't worry, right? And Kirk visits this old friend, right, who's a Shakespearean actor, one of the person them, and he seems very irritated and anxious, right? And Kirk I wonder what go on, thing, and he might try to figure out, how he can help him out and thing. And if you guy ever tell him, say, yo, there is Codus the Executioner, who has been notorious for seizing control of a Earth colony, Tarsus 4, in 2246, right? And he ordered the execution of half of the population, which are 8,000, persons, right? And 4,000 people now, survive at the time. And with all that, 9 of them now still living, which include Kirk, Leighton, right? And some other people. So even though, everybody based on the historical documents and stuff would have thought that Codus has been long dead, right? That Leighton now is basically a put forward saying, no, that is not the case. I think he's alive, right? And I think he is one of the actors them. Because, some circumstances happening and thing, and, so, of course, Kirk does enough interest now and realize, say, boy, something with that claim I want to make, right? So, him go and meet with Leighton distraught wife Martha, and she distraught now because Leighton just dead suddenly, right? Drop dead. And you know what I'm saying? There are no witnesses. So, of course, this make things even more complicated now because something go on. So, because they don't want to make Codus know, say, them know, I'm thinking them kind of continue with the thing, The show must go on kind of attitude. So, what we find happen now is that the Lieutenant Kevin Riley, who is a member of the Enterprise crew, is also one of the survivors. So he was recently promoted, from engineering to communications, right? Which is probably a good post for him. Now Kirk is faced with the possibility now of seeing this man die. So he decides that he's going to demote him and put him back in engineering for his safety, right? So him order Spock to do that and thing, and Spock I become very concerned about how the captain behave in this matter, right? And him, want to tell him the real reason why, and thing. Now Riley did and him do him little engineering duty and thing, and him bored because of him one down there and thing. So him call up to the rec room and thing, and everybody enjoy themselves. Hurrah, play one Vulcan harp and thing, right? And him ask her to sing one song for him, right? Him beg her to sing the song for him. And she said, alright, me go sing the song for you. And she sing the song for him. And while they there, and him eat and thing, we see a hand with what appears to be a syringe injecting some chemical or something into his milk, right? Don't ask me why the big man I drink milk still, but now, of course, he takes a drink and a long gulp, and as Aurora finish her song, Riley start to choke, and of course them hearing over the communication channel, and You know, everybody rushing for, thing there, and them take him, to sick bay, and him not dead, but him depend some serious condition, right? Now Mackay do him lab report and thing and stuff, and him recognize said there is an amount of poison in his system, right? And it's something that them can find used aboard on the Enterprise. Now Spock hearing, what going on and thing, him very concerned that Riley was poisoned, right? Because he has been monitoring the whole situation now, and him knows that certain things not sound too right. So that leads them for, kind of back up the captain, but not with the captain's knowledge, because the captain not really want them nowhere near this, So evidence point to one of the actors named Cardian, right? That he is Kodos, right? Because in voice sound like Kodos, and the captain make him read one prepared statement that Kodos would have read out, spoken to the colonists on the planet at the time, right? And he read it flawlessly, just like Kodos would. And so the captain batter him in terms of questions and trying to get him to convey it and thing, and I say, boy, not because so and so don't mean XYZ, and he might give the not because, this and that, So of course there is the point of them having thing there, while his daughter, right, who seems to be very interested in the captain, right? And she has been giving the captain all the signals, and of course the captain kind of like this, if I get attention from the ladies. I tell you, I get it, the captain Kurt there, if they easy, So, him, when she come in and see him attack her father, of course she was upset with him, like, why you attack my father and things. So, it seems like it makes sense that she'll be doing that, right? So the the recording of Cardian's voice and to compare it against Kodos' voice and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And they must say it's a little bit different, can't be sure what it is, right? So in the meanwhile now, in the sick bay, the lieutenant him awakens and him hear Mackay log entry, talk about, learning that Cardian is a suspect of being Kodos, right? The man who murdered Riley family. So of course that spur him into action now, right? So him go missing out of this the sick bay and thing. So of course the performers them get themselves ready to play as Hamlet. You know what I'm saying? The play Hamlet. Riley now have one of the stolen phasers them, and him sneak backstage. So Kirk, him would have been watching what is going on. Him see Riley and thing, and him managed to talk him out of killing him, And him send him back to sick bay. So Kirk didn't know one thing, and him say Cardian and him daughter Lenore. Yes. Discussing, what did happen and thing, and how we might try to keep her from the past and thing. And him, how him hear a voice from long ago, that part that he played. So of course say, yeah, definitely this a man here for sure, you know what I'm saying? But then he's horrified, and we are also horrified when we get to discover, say, Lenore revealed to him, say, she know all about him past deeds, right? And she already silenced, you know what I'm saying, taken care of 7 of the 9 people who could have identified him, right? And she go on to tell him, say she intend to dispose of the other 2, after the performance. Of course, Cardian is horrified that this means that, blood is on his hands, even if it's not him directly, right? And she tell him, say, no, man, me go make sure, say, they're silenced and things, so they will never trouble you anymore. Now, Kirk hearing said all of this, and what is going on. Him step up and him, and thing. And Lenore, she rebuke him and thing. End up on stage, right? In front of the people them and thing. Kirk get him security now for come in, for take them in custody. But Lenore, she get one weapon off of one of the security guard them. Right? And she run on the stage. Right? And you can see say she mad, in her eye them. Right? And this is where the drama comes in there, said, because the way how she behave, because she know her part well. Right? And she had, she said that, there will be no more blood on his hands. Right? No more blood on his hands. She shoots and it wounds her father, killing him. And the weirdest part about it is that when, after all of this happened, she believes, say, her father is still alive, right? Performing to cheering audiences. Yeah. Episode 14, Balance of Terror. So, a rescue call in the neutral zone turns into a battle with a Romulan ship with the ability to cloak. So, the Enterprise, this is the first episode that we actually encounter the Romulans, right? We've been hearing a little bit about them and stuff here and there in, other areas, but now we're confronted with them, right? So the episode starts out really nice and calm with a wedding between 2 crew members, right? They might get married aboard the ship, and Captain Kirk is officiating that wedding. Now, them they're regular Starfleet uniform, of course, right? With the female Angela wearing a white flower crown, right? And Scotty is there as the giveaway father. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, them get a red alert, right? Which interrupts the ceremony, right? Captain Kirk run to the bridge and him find out, say, Outpost 4 is under attack, right? So everybody run to battle stations. I mean, bride and groom, You know what I'm saying? Run off. Now, the USS Enterprise, they investigate in the vicinity of the Romulan neutral zone, right? And as I mentioned before, the neutral zone is just basically a point in space that they have chosen to basically, say, hey, listen, once you enter this zone, there should be an agreement that there is no conflict, right? They established it because of the Earth and Romulan War, which happened over a century ago, right, in their time. Now, of course, they go to Earth Outposts 2 and 3, and then find that they are totally obliterated, right? And the Enterprise was able to contact Outpost 4, right? And the sole survivor of the Outpost, the Commander Hansen, describe a powerful blast of energy from a ship that they couldn't attack because they couldn't see it, it was cloaked, right? This further spurs them to recognize that, boy, this could be a Romulan warship, right? Them come for, strike at them and thing. And, you know what I'm saying? Just as in the attack, them get attacked, right? Outpost 4 get attacked and thing. And them see the sensors showing one ship of fire, right? And then the viewing screen go blank. So they can't see this ship. So Spock sensors detect something is moving out there, but there's nothing visible on the view screen. So of course him, suggests to the captain, say, boy, the Romulans could have some sort of invisibility shield, some cloak, right? Uhura pick up one communication signal, and that is what Spock used now to obtain a view of the Romulan ship interior, right? So them see the commander of the ship, right? And think the Romulans, they very much resemble what Vulcanians look like. And so Spock, everybody start look past Spock when they see the Romulan. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause no one has ever seen the Romulans before, because them just that fight a war and them never know what the enemy look like. Now, as Uhura, I try to interpret the Romulan signals them now, them have a Lieutenant Styles who, from all the thing we go on and thing, you know what I'm saying? Him want to strike back at the enemy hard. Him no want to take in time or nothing, right? That it even lead to, you know what I'm saying, Kirk have to tell him, say, yo, keep your bigotry to yourself, basically. Yo, keep that to yourself, bro. Just hold that down. You see me? I say, yo, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, help. So the Romulan commander, him start to notice the Enterprise will follow them, right? So him confirm what I'm on the officer them and thing, the Centurion. And him explain the ethics of their mission, you know what I'm saying? And so then I want to really listen to him, and I know I really want to do him. I say him demote them immediately, right? They weren't supposed to think they can violate one order for send out a subspace message, right? In violation of radio silence order, right? Now the officers them on aboard the Enterprise, them go to the briefing room and them discuss them chances against the Romulan ship, right? Based on Westpac, say, boy, the effect of the Romulan weapon them upon them protective shields is devastating, right? Styles has urged them now to attack him and even get up for argue. And Kirk just say, yo, sit down. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Styles. You know what I'm saying? There is even one point where Kirk have to embrace Janice. Yeah? When time the Romulan attack. You know what I'm saying? Rand and Kirk. Anyways. So the Enterprise, them fire back and thing and stuff. And for a while, them there and them figure out a way if say, yo, them going to follow the Romulan ship, right? Because the Romulan ship will move, you know what I'm saying, and them they can't see it, right, on the view screen, but they can measure the sensors them for say how far off they are, right? And so, them basically in lockstep with them, you know what I'm saying? And that even the Romulan them I say, boy, to the commander say, yo, your shadow has returned. You know what I'm saying? Because like your shadow I follow them, right? So the Romulan ship heads towards one comet tail because that would help them to be able to mask them signature, right, from the sensors and hide, even for temporarily. But that also leaves them open to attack because they become temporarily visible while that is happening. But the Romulan commander decide to do one wicked maneuver and him just double back. Right? And intercept the Enterprise because they never expect that evasive maneuver there. Right? And, you know, them a barrage of phaser fire, you know, at each other and, you know, the Romulan ship get damaged. So the original Centurion, him get killed in that action and there is a lot of debris. So the Romulan commander ordered that them use the debris, right, for push that out. You know what I'm saying? For make it look like, say, the Romulan ship done for. And the Romulan ship not done for, of course. So, of course, Enterprise pick it up and them kind of realize that something not right because Spock, you know, say no, but even though a debris, I know, full debris, like say, yo, you know, it totally damaged, you know what I'm saying? And we still not see the ship. So, you know what I'm saying? Them never catch them out with that one day. So, the Enterprise, them power down for about 9 hours and 40 odd minutes in order for watch what go on and thing, you know what I'm saying? And meanwhile, in the day I do that, McCoy counsel Kirk, you know, make him know, say, you know, the probability of having so many planets and, you know, all of them being destroyed. So it's essentially just basically a plead to him and say, boy, we not have to go down the route here. There might be a better way, you know? So Spock make one error when he make some repairs and cause one panel to become active, right? Which make the Romulan ship detect the Enterprise. And so it move in for attack now, right? Of course, Kirk is able to anticipate. And by the time, you know, the commander of the Romulan ship seem to have some respect for Kirk, you know, kind of say, boy, this a commander and a normal, you know, he might move, you know, he might move bad. If respect him in that way, you know what I'm saying? Even though I'm enemy. And so, you know, they go at it until it take out everybody. Take out the Romulan ship, right? Them crippled, right? Totally. And in this moment, it is that we recognize, boy, the commander realizing that he is gonna be defeated, right? Him show some respect to the victor, to Captain Kirk, you know? And then him say, I regret that we meet in this way. You and I are of a kind. In a different reality, I could have called you friend. And as a last part of him duty, him set the Romulan ship for self-destruct. Yeah. Yep. This one didn't end really happy because at the end, the two people then what if he married never to get married. Tomlinson died, right, as a result of the action that took place. Angela is alone, standing in the chapel. Yeah. Sad. Episode 15, Shore Leave. The crew of the Enterprise get mesmerized while they're on shore leave. So, Captain Kirk order the shore leave, right, for him crew, right? Because it's been a very grueling 3 months, right? You know, based on what's going on. And everybody's, you know, feel, you know, bit out of it and stuff, and they definitely want to sleep and thing, you know? Right? One of the man them say, yo, you need sleep, Captain. You know what I'm saying? You need sleep. Dr. McCoy and Sulu, them transport down as landing party upon the planet. You know, check out the planet. Planet seem like one of them relaxing little paradise there where you can just get away, and do what you need to do and relax and everything. So, you know, McCoy find the planet with the, its lush green and thing as something out of Alice in Wonderland. Now, funny enough, he must say that, and then the next thing you know, there is a big fluffy bunny hopping around and running through the forest. Oh, my paws and whiskers, I'll be late. Yes. So the captain give him a blog, that they orbit an inhabited planet, right? Omicron Delta, right, region. And how blissful and quiet it seems and restful, right? Then McCoy contact Enterprise through the communicator, right? Same one talk to Captain Kirk, right? And him tell the Enterprise, say boy, him a tell them say boy the there must be some explanation, right? For what go on, right? Because him see the sight of the rabbit, right, with the waistcoat and pocket watch, right? Like something out of Alice in Wonderland. And he can't explain that. So of course, Kirk who did and thing, Spock come to him and I tell him, say, oh, this is one of my favorite parts. Where he say to Kirk, say, boy, with a check on crewman, and he must show some signs of stress and fatigue, and the reaction time is down 9 to 12%, right? And the officer has become increasingly irritable and quarrelsome and refuses to relax and rest. So the captain, concerned about what going on, him say, so who is this person, right? Who's this crewman? And Spock says, the officer's name is James Kirk. Yeah. All right, so there's Lieutenant Rodriguez who is conducting a scan with his tricorder. While him there observe one leaf on a tree, right? Him come upon a .38 police special round found under the rock. Now, Sulu, comes and sees that, right? And thing, and later on, Sulu fired the pistol that everybody after running, and I wonder what's going on. I will fire that. You know what I'm saying? Kirk confiscate the pistol, probably I'd say, you move so trigger happy, right? Now, them investigating and them notice some footprints, right? Large footprints, animal footprints, right? Even though there should be no life based on the sensors and everything of them, they scan the planet. There should be no life on the planet. So by this time they realize, say, listen, we shouldn't be making anybody else beam down to the planet. So, them let everybody know, say, listen, for now, just hold off on that now, for now. You know what I'm saying? Captain Kirk get reunited with Ruth, right? Which is one last love that he had and stuff. Be things are going there, so. Him and her sit down and chat and thing, and, you know what I'm saying? I try to reach Dr. McCoy, and he can't reach him on the communicator. This guy seemed to be out of range. Plus, him get distracted by Ruth. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Captain Kirk and the ladies again, right? Now, Spock aboard the Enterprise, him call down and to let them know so that him detect one energy field on the surface of the planet. And it seemed that it had drained the Enterprise power, right? And interfere with them communications. and the patterns are consistent with some industrial activity, right? So Mackay and Burroughs a walk, right? And this is after she got through something, you know what I'm saying? She started to imagine how she should be dressed as a princess in a dress. And then she spot a princess dress. The same one she just fantasized about, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So all sort of sitting there going, you know what I'm saying? I'm just making this up. This is what's literally happening in this episode. So Kirk are trying to figure out things. So Emma asks in science officer to come up with an answer for everything that happened, right? And make him know, say, Mackay have him Alice in Wonderland vision, Solo gun, Rodriguez see bird, and two people himself, you know, where him see. We're not supposed to alive. Can him even see one guy where I like him bridging, where him know a long time. And the two of them love to go at one another in terms of, you know, tussle and wrestle and thing, you know, and you see this same thing happening, you know. So all of which shouldn't be possible, you know what I'm saying? Then Sulu him get attacked by one samurai warrior who just seems to just emerge from a hatch in the ground, right? Spock attempt to beam down and thing, right? Dr. Mackay is run through by man on horseback with one lance, and so them suspect he's dead, right? Them check him in and make sure, and he seems to be dead. They must see strange things in the sky, like a Japanese Zero fighter aircraft, right? A fly through the air. So by the time Kirk, Sulu, and Spock and Burroughs look back to see Mackay body, it disappear. Even the Black Knight where they come out, you know, with the lance and lance him. So at that point now, them I recognize say maybe all of this has been an illusion, and then this man appears, right? Oh, before that, so Kirk is Bridging Finnegan, right? The same brother I tell you about. He appear and the two of them go, you know, go at it. A tussle and thing. You know, and him call him sweet Jimmy boy. And they them a tussle and tussle. You know? And Kirk seems to be enjoying all of this, right? Now Kirk begin to recognize that something, you know, quite weird that happened. And as him I realize that now Finnegan comments say, I'm being exactly what you expected me to be, Jimmy boy. And resume them fighting and thing. Now, them I recognize now Spock, you know, let them know, say, listen, we feel like we're under some form of telepathy, right? Because one tiger did appear, right? Well, it reappeared because it appeared before. So everybody, you know, him say, listen, we want everybody for just stand at attention and just clear in the mind and stop think about anything, right? And just as then do that, the elderly man, the caretaker, as he identified himself, you know, tell them so that them construct this planet as a playground that anyone can think of anything and it be manufactured, right? Sulu, I wonder, our race like this can be so advanced and yet want to play. So, you know, them say it make, you know, perfect sense that the more the complex the mind, the greater the need for the simplicity of play. So Kirk said, but what happened to Mackay? Mackay not dead. Mackay reappear alive and well in the arms of ladies. You know what I'm saying? You know, a cabaret girl, you know what I'm saying? For Rigel too. Like, what? What's going on? So the caretaker offers the use of the shore leave planet to the crew, right? Caution them for take care what them summon, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And him no want to tell them nothing about theme species or their home planet, right? And basically I say, yo, we're not ready yet to find that out. Like many other races that they have confronted. So, of course, then go back to the Enterprise. Spock asks Kirk and McCoy if they enjoyed their rest. And both of them confirmed that them certainly did. Spock comments that it is most illogical. You know what I'm saying? Kirk orders that Sulu depart at Warp 1 and then you leave the unusual world. This is after them make everybody come, you know, beam down from this the ship and thing, you know, for go enjoy themselves and take it in, you know. Yeah. Episode 16, the Galileo 7. So Spock's illogical actions save the crew when they are stuck on a planet with no alternatives course of action. And this is even after them lose contact with the Enterprise. So, on the Enterprise, Captain Kirk received a signal from Spock that them shuttlecraft Galileo is ready for launch, right? The crew of Lieutenant Commander Scott, Dr. McCoy, Lieutenant Latimer, Gato, Boma, and Yeoman Mears, right? So the 7 of them end up going on this adventure. So then launch and thing, and the Galileo end up in some trouble, right? And have to make an emergency landing on Taurus 2, which is a lone planet, right? In that instance, it got damaged on the surface, and so they have to make some repairs to the damaged craft. Now, this planet is a M-type planet, right? That means most times it is possible to have life on it, right? Now, Scott and Spock, they diagnose the problems with the Galileo. I try to figure out what's going on with it and thing, right? At which point, Spock, with him cold logic, begins to make the crew be very unnerved because, you know, of his decisions. He might make certain decisions. He might say, boy, because everybody has said, listen, let's take our chances, draw lots to see who will stay behind, because one person have to stay behind while the rest of us, you know, leave and thing, right? But Spock said that he better qualify if he make the decision than just randomly drawing lots. So them go on a scouting expedition. Latimer and Gato, you know, them hear one strange grinding noise, right? And it seems very coming from all around them, right? And there's a dense fog which they can't really see. So of course they might attempt to get them out of there. They encounter one giant spear-wielding caveman-like humanoid, right? And the creature is very hostile and it attacks the 2 crewmen, right? Latimer get hit by a spear in the back, mortally wounding him, right? And him fall from the rock ledge to the ground. Now Gato him attempt to fend off them with the phaser, right? And him a fire very, very blindly. Him eventually get to drive them away and thing, right? And him get found by Spock and Boma, right? slumped over, right? Him just a look upon him crewmate that has fallen, right? Because who wouldn't, right? Now Boma and Gato, them decide to carry the body back to the ship, but Spock, say, boy, alright, since it not gonna have any interference with the repair efforts, right? Him offer for help, but them refuse. Say no, I don't want you to touch him. So them recognize they are no longer alone on this planet, right? And the creatures are very hostile, right? So them are try to, hurry up and get the ship repaired so them can lift off. But of course, time is against them, right? And them can start to hear the grinding noises them outside. Spock identifies the sounds as wood and rubber and leather, right? Which is not a good thing, right? Now, them have to find a way to dissuade them from bothering the crew. So McCoy and Gato them agree that there is a logical course of action. Spock hesitant, but him can see that the logic of them plan. You know what I'm saying? Though him abhors unnecessary violence, right? So him propose a third plan to scare them by blasting phasers near the giants, firing not to injure or kill, but to simply frighten, right? The plan appears to be executed successfully, and they return to the shuttlecraft, right? And then leave Gato to stand guard and stay in communication with the ship, right? Now, the Enterprise did have them one course of problems too. They weren't able to function the transporters them for some reason. So them get the transporters them operational, and now them decide to beam 3 landing parties down, right? So that them can find a way to find the crew, right? Now Gato him get attacked now, and him lose him phaser when one large rock get thrown against him hand. Him try to scramble up the cliff, but him can't, because his hand injured, right? And him get horribly killed by one of the creatures them. Now Spock, McCoy, and Boma them arrive at Gato's last known position, and he is nowhere to be found. Spock discovers his phaser is lying on the ground, and him order the two to return to the craft, hands over Gato's phaser to Scott for conversion. Now Spock comes up with an idea for use the ship's batteries to electrify the outer hull, right? Because they might touch the ship and thing, and it'll go electrocute the creatures them out there, We'll be right back after these messages. Personal log. Science Officer Spock. After careful observation, I've reached an inescapable conclusion. This podcast is not monetized. Its continued existence relies not on commerce, but on voluntary actions of its listeners. While some might find this arrangement illogical, the data suggests it has been surprisingly effective. If you have found value in this transmission, the logical course of action would be to share it with a friend or colleague possessing an interest in science fiction. Furthermore, leaving a comment would provide useful feedback for future analysis. Every listen, follow, and share increases the probability of this podcast continuing its mission. The mathematics are quite clear. A podcast heard by one listener remains a podcast heard by one listener. A podcast shared by many has the potential to reach the stars. Live long and prosper, and engage. And log. Now, when all of this are going and thing, Commissioner Ferris was on the ship, right? And him basically use rank, pull rank on Kirk and I tell him, say, yo, you don't have much time to perform this search, and thing, and you know what I'm saying? May I say you need to get them out here and thing or whatever, and the captain push back in order to get some time to do it and thing. So time I run out upon the captain, right? So him continue say I come and I interfere with the captain and try to, dissuade him from, continuing his search for him crew. But Kirk say, you know what I'm saying, him now got us left him crew out there, No, so them could be possibly alive and left them. So with only 23 minutes left, right, for the search. Spock, Bowman, McCoy, them discuss them situation, right? As Scott drains the phasers them in order to power the craft, right? Now the Columbus returns to the Enterprise and docks, and the landing parties have all been beamed aboard. So Kirk now have no other excuses for him delay, right? So he have to start move the Enterprise out to proceed his trip to Marcus Tree, right? And him tell Sulu, him Elsman say, hey, proceed at normal space speed. That even Sulu is like, bro, what? You know what I'm saying? And like, no, I double tick, like, huh? But he did it, So he's continuing at space normal speed. After then perform the funeral rites for while the man perform it actually, they are interrupted by flying spears, right? McKay and McCoy, Bowman, and Spock are attacked by the creatures again, right? And them have to run back to the ship, right? After them throw back one of spears them at, Spock turns and makes the ship as well, but one large rock did get hurled at him and it trapped him basically, right? So I'm telling the rest of them to take off without him. But them disregard the command there. You know what I'm saying? Them not leave no man behind. So them go there and thing and they help Spock to make it back onto the shuttle and thing, and Spock grimly reminds the party that, thanks to Bowman and McCoy for trying to save him life. But them ruin them chance at a slim chance of survival. So after they're able to achieve some orbital altitude, them attempt to chase down the Enterprise. They remember the Enterprise will take it time, you know what I'm saying? Then Spock come up with a very illogical but reasonable idea. He jettisons the fuel and ignites it, right? And this was in the hopes that the Enterprise will see the flare and come to their rescue. So, of course, doing that also means that certain death, because them they in an orbit and them only have 6 minutes them can go in an orbit for, right? Otherwise, them orbit going to decay and they'll just fall back to the planet and die. Fortunately enough for them, the gamble play off, and the flare catches Sulu's watchful eye, right? And him tell the captain, and the captain say, change course immediately, 180 degrees, right? And them attempt to rescue them, without first, a notice what go on. As the orbit begins to decay, the 5 of them, prepare to be burnt up in the atmosphere and thing. And then the Enterprise beams the crew out alive and well. And of course, Kirk is very emotional when he finds out everybody good, Sulu resume the course to Marcus 3 at warp factor 1, and Spock and McKay are safe and sound on the bridge, right? Kirk confronts Spock at him science station and ask him about, why you do what you do, because that seemed like a very emotional reaction. Now Spock try to evade the question and frame the action in a very logical decision, when a 2-2 makes sense, right? But Kirk hold him to it and say, listen, what you did was purely human and emotional act, right? Spock said, no, sir. Yeah, very stubborn man, you know what I'm saying? And everybody start laugh, of course, you know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, we all know how he go, Episode 17, The Squire of Gothos. Several members of the crew are taken to a mansion on a planet where the owner, Trelane, is able to manipulate matter. So, the episode starts off, funny enough, with the Enterprise en route to Beta 6, sorry. And they must pass through a void, a star desert, right? It's a region of space where solar systems are not common. So, Spock and the crew of the Enterprise, they might conduct some sensor sweep, right? Because Kirk and Sulu, them just seem to just disappear off of the ship, right? Now, General Trelane, the Squire of Gothos, he calls himself, he introduces himself, right? He is dressed, like one of those, Victorian era man, right? And the mansion itself is even decked out like that. It's decked out in that Victorian, kind of look. He quickly shows his power over Kirk and Sulu by freezing them, right? Him see him for talk and behave friendly, but him not hesitate to make it clear to them that him have firm control of the situation. So Kirk, demand that Trillian allow them to go back to the Enterprise. Of course, that no work out, right? Because Trillian show him say that him can transport him outside of the castle into the actual atmosphere of the planet, which has toxic gas. And this, of course, shows him authority. Of course, while them investigate and think, them recognize, say, there are a few things about this place that don't make sense. So, them find that there is a fire that gives light but no heat. Food that tastes like straw and brandy that tastes like water. So Spock reason that Trillian knows the form of her, but him not know them substance. Him not know how to actually make things taste or, how them feel and, all the other things. He might only probably be able to make everything look pretty. You make things look pretty on the outside, but really and truly not go on the inside. Yeah. So, and, that is part of the reason why he understands Earth history, because he's not able to see how much years of advancement they have made since the Victorian era, and so that's why I'm stuck in that Victorian ideal. So, of course, these mistakes convince them that Trillian is not omnipotent. He might have the powers, right? He only know the forms of human, right? But not the substance, right? And through them questioning and trying to get answers from him, recognize that. So they might wonder if there's some kind of machine of sorts that, does things, right? So they want to find a way if they destroy it so that them can leave. Trillian a flirt with one of the human them and them a figure more or less a Trillian mirror is his power source. So the captain challenged him to a duel. And of course, him take that up because yes, him get for duel the captain. So during the duel now, Trillian threw away him shot and him invite Kirk to shoot at him. And I tell him, say, boy, my fate is in your hands, Captain. So Kirk takes aim at Trillian, and instead of that, him shoot at the large mirror, right? Thinking that that will destroy whatever them have, or whatever Trillian is using. Trillian's creation appears to collapse, right? And this enables the landing party to escape and flee Gothos and thing, very nicely. This is done so well. Of course, the respite is brief, right? As the Enterprise are trying to flee from Beta 4, Beta 6. But every time when they turn, any direction they turn, they find themselves heading back to Beta 6. So them recognize Trillian of some power that is very vast, right? So Kirk order them for try and avoid a collision, right? Now they are stuck in this position as Trillian continuously move the planet in front of them. Trillian snatches the captain back again down to the surface, where him have a kangaroo court, basically, right? And, him have on the wig and everything, and establish himself as the judge, right? And him say, him have to execute Kirk, because this is a crime of opposing him. You will hang by your neck, Captain, until you are dead, dead, dead. Now, Kirk tell Trillian, say, listen, you need a challenge. You know what I'm saying? You don't just want to just kill me, sir, and thing, and be done with it. And I'm agree with him. So, he decide to have a hunt where he might hunt the captain. So, the captain a plead to him, make him know, say, listen, even though you capture me now and you feel like you want to kill me, really and truly, you don't want to do that because it's the game you're interested in, basically. And you haven't learned about everything. You haven't learned much. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a booming female voice, which just, come out of nowhere. We call when you call a bikini, Trillian. It's Trillian's parents. They appear as a disembodied, hovering green lights in a treetop. And Trillian, stands in the pool of light, it was say, yo, and him argue no, not no. You can't do this now, you know what I'm saying? Like them catch him at something he's not supposed to do. So it's almost like we realize, Trillian is like a spoiled brat who his parents basically has come for him, right? And that them are gonna take him and them, them are gonna punish him and thing. And them are Kirk asks, who are you and who is Trillian? But them not answer him. Them say, he must forgive their child and it was their fault for indulging him too much, and that he will be punished. They might explain how, they would not have allowed him to intercept the Enterprise, right? Knowing, how vulnerable humans really are. And them tell him, say, listen, we're going to maintain the planet life support systems until you leave. Trillian parents then vanish, and Kirk regains contact with the Enterprise. And beam aboard and thing. Now, Spock asks Kirk, what of Trillian? And Kirk tell him, say, it was classified as a small boy and a very naughty one at that. And that Trillian probably engaged in the same mischievous pranks the Vulcans did as a young boy. Spock him feel a way about that, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Episode 18. Arena. Now Kirk finds himself going head-to-head with a reptilian on a planet which is a part of a test by an advanced race who wants to make contact. So many of you might know of the famous that famous meme where Captain Kirk is fighting against this reptilian. Yeah, that's this episode here. So Captain Kirk and a landing party, right? They beam down to one Federation observation outpost on Cestus 3. They were invited by a Commodore Travers, right? Unbeknownst to them, that was sent some time ago in the past. And them get a signal there being lured there, right? So after them reach there, them commander attack immediately. The colony has been destroyed. Them can see, the destruction all around and stuff. At the same time, the USS Enterprise come under attack in orbit by some unidentified starship, right? They might try to keep them deflectors, the screens up and stuff, Now, Kirk make him way to the colony's arsenal now, to avoid the large blast from the identified attackers and thing. And every time someone from the landing party looking right at one of them, we just see them looking right at one of them and like, hey, look, Captain, and then get shot or then get killed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder what the heck is going on now. Now, while them there in a sick bay now with one of them, Kirk and Spock, that the alien them knock out them phasers, right? With the first salvo. And that leave the colony defenseless, and it confirms what Kirk would have, had a theory before, that the aliens feared the message from the colony, which divert the Enterprise there, right? In attempts to destroy them, right? Because they would have been the only protection as part of the Federation, because they want to take over, that territory. So the captain ordered that the ship, go to battle stations and thing, and to warp 6 to overtake the aliens them, right? Now the alien them recognize, say, the Enterprise is in pursuit now, so them jump to warp 6 as well, right? Kirk ordered them to go to warp 7, right? Is a high speed chase and thing. Now Spock and Scott them realize, boy, them can sustain that speed, kind of do some things to the warp engines, right? For that long. Spock there tell them, say, we shouldn't destroy the enemy vessel just on the basis that they are sentient life. Of course, Kirk disagree because, hey, they were the ones who committed the crime. They come in and them start for, bust up shatter and thing. You know what I'm saying? What you expect us to do? Now, Kirk, I think about all them options them. So him order the ship to accelerate to warp 8, right? And fi have all the weapon departments them ready for battle, right? So them start to close in at warp 8. The Enterprise start to see one scanning beam from an uncharted solar system 2466 p.m. The alien is not approaching that system, but one third party is curious about Enterprise, apparently. Now the aliens them briefly begin to slow down, right? And the sublight speed, and then them just stop dead in space. Now Kirk closey now for the kill, right? Ready for demolish them. And even the Enterprise slow to sublight as well and stop dead. Right? Just like how the alien ship get powered, right? And the weapons them seem like them can't effect or nothing at all. Now the architects of this is revealed as the Metrons, who are an advanced race who regard intrusion into their space for the purpose of conflict as entirely unacceptable. So they issue an ultimatum and tell Kirk say the Enterprise, and the captain from the other ship, the Gorn, right? Captain, that them both have to go fight basically to the death for the ability to, do what they need to do. So they end up on this world that they say that they are prepared for them. And the two captain them will have to settle their differences using strength and ingenuity without the assistance of their ships. Right? So either one of them can call for help. You know what I'm saying? They can't phone a friend. You know what I'm saying? So we meet the Gorn captain, who is a green humanoid reptile creature. And it is quite slow because of its big body compared to Kirk. However, it has superior strength and its bulk. You know what I'm saying? Kirk is able to evade him initially, but him knows say boy, him can't do that indefinitely. And him have to find a way to defeat him opponent who is far stronger and tougher than he is, and even more stamina. The Metron them did make one comment that them prepare the environment around them which contain elements suitable for fabricating weapons. So continue to do some attack and evasion, Kirk did do him captain's log, right? And the Gorn captain hear him and make, him go, we go do one, we not go do one thing. So the Gorn now, him finally communicate and him propose to Kirk, that them sees trying to evade him and promise in exchange of him will be merciful and quick in killing him. So of course, Kirk now take up that offer there, you know what I'm saying, anytime soon. So of course, I realize, say boy, the Gorn, from their perspective, them a repel an invading force, to be honest, right? And much like how, things are going, no one wants to die, right? So that, you know what I'm saying? But if they're only left with that option, what else them gonna do, right? McCoy, he might think, the same thing and say, boy, perhaps the humans were in the wrong, right? Because them able to watch all of this while going to take place, right? So them hope that there was at least some way that them could contact the captain. Now Kirk, him remember one old formula for gunpowder, right? Where you use sulfur, coal, potassium nitrate, diamonds, and a bamboo-like plant, right? So him construct a makeshift cannon. Of course, Spock is impressed by the captain's ingenuity. And he must say, boy, yeah, probably will be successful. So him bust off this cannon, the makeshift cannon and thing, which means Kirk win the contest, right? Of course, him have the upper hand now and him can deliver the final blow, but Kirk yells out aloud, to the unseen Metrons them that him not gonna kill the Gorn, and then we'll have to find their entertainment elsewhere. And then right after that, the Gorn suddenly disappears, and a Metron representative appears before Kirk on the rocks above him. Right? You see one tall, youthful looking, brown, blonde man in one silver toga. Right? He appears like one of them Greek god there. And the Metron expresses how surprised they are that them never perceived that this was something that they would do. That Kirk's demonstration of mercy towards him helpless opponent, you know what I'm saying? The Metrons them say, boy, 1,500 Earth years, perhaps they will be ready, right? Because Kirk try to find out, more about the bad thing. Now, the Metrons them say, boy, we can allow you to, we can have them destroyed for you, Kirk, and thing. But they can, destroy the enemy, which is the Gorn, But Kirk say, no, they don't want to do that. And if them can talk them dispute over, and perhaps reach some agreement. And of course, this further impresses the Metron, right? And them say, boy, humanity is still half savage, And so maybe we'll be ready in 1,000 years, right? They'll be civilized enough to be a further interest to the Metrons. Now, Kirk was dusty and him uniform torn and all of these things. Him uniform returned pristine again and he's clean. And them ship get relocated like about 500 parsecs away from the Metron solar system. So, of course, Spock I inquire about what happened because the last picture after him did shoot at the Gorn. So the whole interaction between him and the Metron representative never aired, you know what I'm saying, to them. So Kirk is like, we're a most promising species, Mr. Spock. And as far as predators go, yeah, 1,000 years, And Spock is like, 1,000 years, Captain? And Kirk replied, well, that gives us a little time. And they head back to Cestus 3. Yeah. Episode 19. Tomorrow is yesterday. The Enterprise is thrown back in time, and the crew has to figure out how to return a fighter pilot. Yeah. So the Enterprise ends up being hurtled back in time to the year 1969, where a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot observes a UFO, and just before he's able to report in, details and stuff, right? The Enterprise, decides, say, hey, we need to take him out of the equation for now, right? So till we figure out how we're gonna get home. So them end up, them can't move, in warp speed and stuff and thing. They can't really move yet. So the Captain Christopher, who has been, observing this, right? Him observe this UFO appeared in front of him and stuff, in the sky and thing. And him pursuing it, because, that's his job. Them grab hold of his aircraft using tractor beam. They were aware that it might break up, so what they did is them beam him aboard, right? Of course, Captain Christopher is very, like, weirded out by the whole situation because, this is a real, probably alien encounter for him. Only to recognize a human being, they must say. Kirk let him know, say, listen, we are from your future, I'm thing, and, and them start tell him about the fact, say, what has happened to them and thing and what they need to do and stuff. And that, they need to figure out what's going on and thing. Now, Spock did some initial research to find out about Captain Christopher and his impact on the world because, one fee take a man out of history that might make a mark and, is needed for, time as you know it to proceed as planned, right? So, his initial thoughts was, nah, we can take him. It won't be any significance. It won't cause any major disruptions to the timeline. But then later on, because Captain Christopher realized that, boy, I'm not going to get him chance to go back, you know what I'm saying? And he had told them that, listen, just before on a take me did already send off a report so that, they had the computers at headquarters and stuff and things. So they have to figure out a way to go and remove all of that, and make sure so that, thing there, retrieve the tapes and thing and, in order to close the loop on those things. Captain Christopher realizing he can't go back, him, try to threaten them with a phaser. Spock come in and, put a head to that. Say just one Vulcan neck pinch and him out, right? Now Kirk and Sulu end up going for the tapes, but they are caught by a staff sergeant, right? And they have to, the Enterprise try to contact, Kirk and Sulu, thinking that them have them radio same way when, it was this staff sergeant who has it, and ends up being beamed aboard instead. So when they beam aboard, of course, they know about they can't put the lid on that one now. The GD's out of the battle. Right? Now, after they beam back aboard and thing with the tapes and thing, Spock made the revelation that, hey, Captain, my initial calculations was incorrect, and Captain Christopher does make a significant impact on reality, in the timeline. We want to put him back. So, Captain Christopher, realizing that, yes, he's going to go back in elated, and he's a little bit more cooperative. They do tell him that, hey, listen, we are go back, you can't go tell nobody nothing about this and thing. And I said, no, but my job for report on everything. I can't not report on this. What they expect me to do. Yeah, that doesn't work out, right? Anyways, them go back now for go complete the mission, and thing. Captain Christopher letting them know, say, listen, and that's the only thing you need to do. You need to do something else, and you're not gonna know unless me tell you. So you have to let me go with you, right? Which was a part of his ploy, right? Now Spock, him find himself have to, concede, but at the same time, he's a little bit mistrusting of this, helpful attitude that Captain Christopher has, you know what I'm saying? So him a watch him and thing. Now, the captain is being questioned by the security and thing, and, the captain, of course, him can't reveal nothing, you know what I'm saying? Or else, you know what I'm saying? So, they end up going and getting the captain and thing, and as they get the captain, so Spock disappear. Captain Christopher realizing that he has an opportunity now, you know what I'm saying, him try again to, you know what I'm saying, to hold them and thing, so that, then allow him, make him stay and thing. But yeah, Spock had him, you know what I'm saying? Kirk a try to talk Christopher out of it, and thing, but him not go listen. So them have another problem now. The problem is that they need to return Christopher, and him not gonna do what them want him to do. So they have to figure out a way for return him. Now Spock make some calculations that it's possible for them to do 2 jumps, right? Because they're gonna try and jump back to their time. So the initial jump will be to take Christopher and the other sergeant guy with him, they take aboard back to the timeline, right? Restore them back to the timeline, to a time before they were abducted or taken aboard, right? So that is going to be a risky maneuver, of course, and thing, and so everybody assume them stations now and thing. The Enterprise prepare for the time warp and thing, and Christopher suits up back and thing, you know what I'm saying? And he is transported back to his aircraft just at the moment where he spots the Enterprise, right? So him no reach for the Enterprise at all. Same thing for the sergeant man where them they take up as well, right? So when Captain Christopher initially sees the Enterprise appear, it disappears in an instant. So thus him not having any memory of what happened afterwards any at all. And them approach them sentry and them begin to break and thing, And of course, out of the silence, them contact Starfleet control, and hear a response, which means that they are in their right sentry once more. Episode 20, Court Martial. Captain Kirk is subject to disciplinary action after a computer report brings a very curious case against him. So Kirk gets placed on trial for negligence after one crewman that is under his command is lost. The facility of Starbase 11, Commodore Stone is advising a maintenance section 18 for reschedule their repairs to the USS Intrepid to give the USS Enterprise priority 1. Now, Captain Kirk is reading from the third time, a copy of a sworn deposition on the events that led to the death of Records Officer Benjamin Finney, right? And Spock now arrive now with an excerpt of the computer log. Kirk explained that him waited until the last possible moment with the ship on red alert, right? And the ion storm got worse, and him eject the ion pod which contained Finney, right? And that caused Finney's death. Now Spock finally beamed down 10 minutes late, right, with the computer records, right? And yeah, I mean, for this one, it was just like crazy because Captain Kirk is known to be, a top officer, right? And in the history of Starfleet, really want to tarnish the record of such a, officer, decorated officer as himself. So, of course, he's been advised against going the route of this court martial, and taking up this formal reprimand that I got written into him record, right? And that this would have been basically putting him at the bottom of any promotion list. Now, Kirk believing, say, boy, he do what he did, and he did the best thing that he could have done. You know what I'm saying? Now the thing about it, the caveat is that Finney and him had a bad history, right? And Kirk admits that, but he must say, boy, he would have never, you know what I'm saying, made that the thing for thing there, because him even promote the man. You know what I'm saying? We are going, him still did promote the man and keep the man. You know what I'm saying? And him never, and like saying, it's a boy, me not deal with this man here because me and him have a bad history. No, Kirk was professional about it, you know? So, you know, him, push for make sure say, yo, he can clear him name, because him believes him can clear him name. However, when the proceedings them start and thing, the computer log basically is showing that there was no such red alert that the captain claims happened. And thus, it seemed like it was negligence, right? And that he might try to cover up what he did. You know, whether it was a mistake or it was intentional. Now, Kirk meets with one old friend named Arlene Shaw, who him not see for a long while, right? She apparently is going to be the prosecutor of the case, right? Initially, him that asks her to be his lawyer, his attorney, right? Represent him. But yeah, she reveals that, hey, me I gotta be the prosecutor actually, so I can't, you know? Right? Because she never want to tell him, say, the same case she gotta be busy with, She tell him, say, oh, she gotta be busy with with this case, at the time, and she can't help him out. And he must say, yo, then get yourself unbusy from that case, And she said, no, can't done because of your case. But I'm the prosecutor, you know? Now, Captain Kirk court martial begin, and them there and them a go through the facts and evidence and something and thing. You might forget his counsel and thing, which is this guy who everybody seem to be like, don't call for that guy there because that guy there even more crazier, you know what I'm saying? But Captain believes that he would be the best suitable man to represent him. So then calling witness after witness who basically a contest with Kirk and his, thing there. I mean, not necessarily directly, but them a confess to certain things and I say, yeah, this was what was happening and thing based on the framing of things, yeah. Right? So of course, Kirk not take no bad feelings to it and thing. Even Spock get called to the stand as well. Now, them call for the video playback from the bridge of what happened, right? The footage show how Finney was being posted in the pod and that the Enterprise was going through not a red alert, but a yellow alert, right? When it was encountering this ion storm. Now, them even magnify the panel, right, of Kirk's command chair, and the video playback shows that Kirk did in fact launch the pod before signaling a red alert. So it seems, very stacked against him. Now, Kirk, I whisper in him voice, I said, but that's not the way it happened. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, I said, boy, probably had a lapse in judgment, probably a memory fog, you know what I'm saying? Ray. Even, the child of Finney enter now, and I said, boy, they want to change them, change how them feel about it because, them know say and him do it. Them, you know what I'm saying? And the defense attorney, they are gonna try to formulate an idea. So them realize something are going with the computers because and they play a three-dimensional chess against it. That Spock I do that. And him know say him program the computer himself, but he might realize say him win 4 games in a row. And he might say, boy, what should have really happen is that him should have attain a draw. Him should have get a draw. And, it shouldn't be just winning. So I know say something are going on with the program bank, right? Which means that probably the evidence has been tampered with. So the court martial now start back, and when it start back, Spock and McCoy them come in and then whisper something to Cogley and Kirk, and Cogley him said that there are some new evidence that comes to mind and thing, and the man said, no, prosecutor said, no, you can't admit new evidence, just so one thing, and re, and touch and re. And I said, wait, man, all right. We're going to allow the new evidence that you say you have. Well, let's see what it is. What is this evidence you have? And he must say, boy, we need to look at the witnesses then, because the computer is giving witness. And can a computer really give witness? And so, then start to look at certain things. So I might tell them, what them observe with the computer and how Spock that win the game and thing and whatever. So Cogley asked them ask Kirk to describe the search for Finney after the storm. Now, Kirk said him do a phase 1 search, right? Especially, that Finney would not be able to respond. So him have to, do that. Now, I must suggest that probably the crewman never want to be found. Yeah? So, I must say, boy, maybe Finley not dead. Now, the court reconvene aboard the main bridge, right? And them said them conduct one little experiment. So Kirk ordered all of the command crew and the court to beam off of the Enterprise to the surface, right? Including Cogley, who says him have an errand of vital importance, to the business of the court. So the crew leave, and the impulse engines are shut down, and the ship orbit the Starbase 11, right? By momentum. Now, Kirk tell them so that they will be finished long before the Enterprise orbit starts to decay. Now, Spock uses the ship's auditory sensors to amplify the heartbeats of all that are on board, right? And McCabe used one white noise device, or white sound device, to mask the heartbeats of all that are on board the bridge. And after they mask everybody and the crewman were there in the transporter room, them find a single heartbeat is still heard. So something are going on. So Kirk ordered the area sealed, and him go down with a phaser to find Finney. Because yes, they believe Finney is alive. Because everybody I wonder, that's impossible, because you mask everybody heartbeat and one heartbeat is there. That means that somebody is still alive. Some living, you know what I'm saying? So in the main engineering now, Kirk encounters Finney in a crazy way the man look. Oh God, you know what I'm saying? He must suffer from delusions of persecution, and how the Enterprise should have been his, but Kirk and Starfleet had conspired to rob him of his own command, right? He want to face at Kirk, but he must say that Kirk's death would mean too little to the captain. Losing the ship would be far worse. So Finney did tap out the primary energy conduits them and thing. Kirk try for reason with Finney, but to no avail. Then begin to fight in the main engineering. Now, Cogley errand on the planet was to bring Jamie aboard. That's his daughter. Finney's daughter. Now Kirk asks Finney whether he also intends to kill his daughter, right? Because she's aboard. Now Finney, tell Kirk, what he did because him no want to kill him daughter. And Kirk begins to attempt repairs on the stuff and thing. Now back on the bridge, Aurora takes the navigation control and the power returns. Right? And they'll be able to get Enterprise orbit to be stabilized. Now, Stone rules the court is dismissed without findings as there aren't any necessary. You know what I'm saying? Because after you find, say, the smarty way he's being convicted of killing is alive, what are you going to do? Yeah. Of course, the captain shares a kiss with the woman prosecutor. Where you bother have history. Yeah, man. You can't end, it without him actually kissing a woman. You know what I'm saying? Especially if she come back in his life. Yeah.
That wraps up part 2 of our discussion on Star Trek Season 1. Coming up next, we'll explore the episodes 21 to 29 in the series. Join us for part 3.
Our quest through the universe of sci-fi television continues, and the next great milestone awaits. 2,000 downloads. Your support is the force that fuels this journey. Share, follow, and let your voice echo through the stars. Until we meet again, may wonder light your path, and curiosity be your guide. This content is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.